Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney, and I've got your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app for today, Thursday, November 5th. Thanks for choosing to be here to get filled in on what is impacting you here in Northeast Ohio. There's a lot to cover today. We'll be starting with what to watch as we move into day 2, or are well into day 3, rather, of election 2020. We also have some pretty ugly coronavirus numbers to get to, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But let's get you focused on what's happening right now when it comes to election 2020. And again, everybody, just a reminder that we expected this to take some time. So remember, days, not hours. People are doing the good work of counting the ballots that have been legally cast, and that is the cost of democracy. So we wait. Because of the very special circumstances this year, specifically related to COVID-19 and all of the mail-in balloting that did happen. So right now, the states to watch are still Nevada, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, which at this point are all too close to call. Nevada with its 6 electoral college votes, Georgia with 16 electoral college votes, and Pennsylvania with 20 electoral college votes. States that still have not been called as well include North Carolina with 15 electoral college votes and Alaska with 3 electoral college votes. Now, to clarify here, votes are still being counted in Arizona, which Democratic candidate Joe Biden leads. Now, the Associated Press has already called Arizona for Joe Biden, so that is what we're going with here, and that's what we'll be discussing with. But not every organization, including NBC News, has not yet called Arizona for Joe Biden. So, with that in mind, going with the Associated Press, with Arizona projected for Biden, he has 264 electoral college votes, and President Donald Trump has 214 electoral college votes. Now, this is a race to 270. Whoever gets to 270 electoral college votes will win the next presidency. Now, if Joe Biden holds that projection in Arizona, winning any outstanding state will get him the presidency, outside of Alaska, because that only has 3 electoral college votes. But winning any other state will get him the presidency. If Joe Biden holds that projection in Arizona, President Donald Trump needs to win every single state that he leads and Nevada in order to win the presidency. Without Arizona, Joe Biden has 253 electoral college votes, but still has multiple ways to get to 270. And if Joe Biden doesn't hold Arizona, without Pennsylvania, President Donald Trump cannot get to 270. So no matter what way you slice it, President Donald Trump has to win Pennsylvania in order to get to 270 electoral college votes and win the presidency. But again, we're going with the Associated Press now, which has called Arizona for Biden, puts him at 264 electoral college votes. So winning any state, aside from Alaska, will win Joe Biden the presidency at this point. So now that we know that, let's take a look at who leads where. Joe Biden leads in Nevada, which we are not expecting to get an answer from today. President Donald Trump leads in North Carolina and also Georgia and Pennsylvania, which might give us some answers there today, specifically coming from Pennsylvania. In North Carolina, President Donald Trump leads by about 77,000 votes, and that's with 94% of the vote in. Now, in Pennsylvania, which is a big topic of conversation today, President Donald Trump's lead is narrowing. There are about 370,000 outstanding votes in Pennsylvania in the big lump sum of votes that are mainly being considered. There are still ballots coming in, though, by the way, legal ballots in Pennsylvania that are still arriving and have until Friday at 5 p.m. to arrive. So of those 370,000, there are still other ballots not included in that 370,000 number, but that's the main number of outstanding votes in Pennsylvania right now. President Donald Trump is currently leading in Pennsylvania by 111,400 votes. Now, the Pennsylvania Secretary of State told CNN today that we definitely could know the winner of Pennsylvania today because it looks like they will be finished with the overwhelming majority of the counting of the votes today. Reminder, President Donald Trump needs Pennsylvania to win the presidency, and as the votes have been coming in, we have seen they have been coming in favor of the Democratic candidate Joe Biden. So big state to watch there today. Now, turning to Georgia, President Donald Trump has a narrow lead in Georgia. He is leading by 13,534 votes, and by last count, there are about 50,000 votes left to count in Georgia. Georgia is another state where, as the votes continue to come in, that lead for President Donald Trump continues to narrow. Now let's turn the attention to Nevada with its 6 electoral college votes. Democratic candidate Joe Biden is leading in Nevada by 11,438 votes. That lead has grown for Joe Biden by a few thousand with the latest update in votes coming out of the state of Nevada. Now in Nevada, there are about 63,000 ballots that are left to count in Clark County, Nevada specifically. Clark County hopes to have those counted by Saturday or Sunday. Now, keep in mind, Clark County did come out and say that they are not running 24-hour shifts in Clark County, Nevada to count these votes. They are running normal shifts there, which is kind of ironic because we always think of Nevada, Las Vegas as the city that doesn't sleep, right? Las Vegas in Clark County, but they're not doing that there. They're running normal shifts. They're not running a 24-hour operation. And here's another reminder. In Nevada, ballots can arrive by Tuesday, November 10th, as long as they were postmarked by the appropriate day under state law. So in Nevada, they have said that they will not allow anyone to stop them from doing the duty of counting those ballots. Every vote will be counted in Nevada, so not expecting an answer from Nevada today. So today, if there's going to be an answer today, that's likely to come out of Pennsylvania. Now, there's been a lot of talk from President Donald Trump's campaign about lawsuits. Let's talk about that for just a moment. There was a lawsuit that was just thrown out in Georgia. Now, these lawsuits that have been brought, a couple of them have dealt with a very small number of votes, so just keep that in mind. The lawsuit that was just thrown out in Georgia was the Trump campaign suing in Chatham County over 53 ballots, so just a couple of dozen of ballots there. And the Trump campaign had accused officials or people responsible with handling the vote in Chatham County of bringing in ballots after Election Day. Well, that has been thrown out at this point, so that lawsuit is no longer a concern. Now, the Trump campaign has already mentioned seeking a recount in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is another state that was called for Joe Biden, but it was called for him within a 1% margin of victory. So under state law, a recount is possible there. Of course, that will have to be officially filed for. That hasn't happened yet because the counties haven't officially reported yet. So some steps to go through before that recount can officially be filed for in Wisconsin. There have been some other legal challenges that have been mentioned, and we will certainly discuss those when the time comes, but really I want to stress to everyone, talking about those at this point is kind of putting the cart before the horse, because it is possible for President Donald Trump to get to 270 electoral college votes, and if he does do that, if he is able to win Pennsylvania, then those legal challenges become irrelevant. But certainly, if the Democratic candidate Joe Biden gets to those 270 electoral college votes and those legal challenges are formally filed, we will be discussing those in great detail. Now, in great detail, let's talk about the COVID-19 numbers from the Ohio Department of Health, and they are ugly today. We are now close for the first time to 5,000 daily reported COVID-19 cases in a single day. So that's another huge number here. That number is 4,961 daily reported cases of COVID-19 here in Ohio. And our 7-day average rate for positive tests here for COVID-19 is now at 7.6%. Yesterday's positivity rating is 7.2% for the single day. So for the COVID-19 tests that were reported yesterday, 7.2% coming back positive. The total number of deaths reported in the last 24 hours is 33. So 33 people reported as losing their lives related to COVID-19. That is down from yesterday when there were 55 deaths reported. In the last 24 hours, there have been 214 new hospitalizations, and now the total number of people hospitalized currently right now related to COVID-19 is over 2,000. I do believe that is the first time that's happened here in Ohio. That number is 2,075 right now, and 541 of those people are being treated in an intensive care unit. That's about 26% of all the people being treated for COVID-19 in Ohio now being treated in an ICU. Now, let's take a look at some record numbers, unfortunately, at the national and the global level related to COVID-19. The U.S. has recorded well over 100,000 COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours and 1,200 deaths related to COVID-19. And for the first time, as we've been tracking this, the U.S. percent of Global deaths has gone up from what we've been talking about yesterday. So that has increased for the first time in a very long time since we have been comparing these numbers here on 3 News Now. These numbers come from Johns Hopkins University. Here in the U.S., there has now been a total reported number of 9,537,515 COVID-19 cases. Comparing that to this time yesterday, that's 117,220 new COVID-19 cases reported. Yesterday was the first time we saw over 100,000 new COVID-19 cases reported in a single day here in the U.S., just to give you something to compare that to. So we track our numbers from about 2:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. the next day. There's been a change of 117,220 COVID-19 cases increase during that time. The total number of deaths in the U.S. is now 234,225, and that's an increase of 1,200 deaths of COVID-19 from this time yesterday. Now, the U.S., with 4% of the global population, is now at 19.7% of the COVID-19 cases, and here's that increase I was telling you about. The total number of deaths for the U.S. Compared to the global amount is 20.7%. That has gone up. We've been looking at numbers in the 19 percentage points over the past couple weeks, now at 20.7%. Globally, there have now been 48,450,292 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 1,229,671 global deaths related to COVID-19. Now we turn to information out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are very familiar with the case of the police killing of George Floyd, which happened this summer in May over Memorial Day. Well, the judge has now made several orders against the defense in that case, and we do know when the trial will continue and what that trial will look like. So the judge has ordered a single trial for all 4 of the former officers in the killing of George Floyd, and the trial will stay in Hennepin County. This is Judge Peter Cahill who is presiding, and he also allowed cameras in the courtroom. Now, it's Derek Chauvin who faces the most significant charges related to the killing of George Floyd, and the other 3 officers will be tried with Derek Chauvin. That's Tao Thao, J. Alexander Kung, and Thomas Lane. Now, the defense had wanted separate trials, arguing that if the defendants try to place blame on any of the other defendants, that could be confusing for the jury, but the judge ruled against that and said because the charges are similar among at least 3 of the 4 defendants, and the evidence presented against all 4 of them will be the same evidence, that it made more sense in the interest of justice to have just one trial. He also mentioned the potential impact on witnesses if they were forced to testify at 4 separate trials. Obviously, that would be a significant psychological ask of those witnesses. So now they will only be asked to testify once at one trial. And as I said, the defense team did not get one decision in their favor in these rulings coming out today. And the judge also ruled that cameras will be allowed in the courtroom. Part of the reason for that ruling is because of COVID-19 concerns right now and the need for people to stay physically distant, so you won't be able to have an audience in the courtroom. Reporters would be limited in the courtroom, and the interest of having this trial information be publicly available. But there are some restrictions on that. Of course, the jurors can't be shown. And here's just sort of a testament to the world that we really live in today. What a modern world we live in. Some of the distinctions that were put on this, some of the restrictions, there will be no zooming in on the tables of the lawyers or the defendants. So we're not going to see any slow pushes in on these cameras as the trial goes on, and there'll be no microphones on the tables counsel. And of course, no members of George Floyd's family will be able to appear on video unless they give their consent. And we now know that that trial is scheduled to begin on March 8th of next year, so 2021. So several months until that trial is set to kick off in Minnesota. Bringing it back here, we do have some more information about the Cleveland baseball team's plans and what the team might look like next year. According to USA Today's Bob Nightingale, it looks like Our star shortstop Francisco Lindor will be calling another team home before the start of next season. Now, Frankie Lindor made $17.5 million last year. He's projected to make around $21 million for his final year. There's one more year on his contract before becoming a free agent. And it was during an end of the season press conference that the team president, Chris Antonetti, did say that the team's financial situation was not looking good after a shortened season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So now it looks like Francisco Lindor will be calling another team home. So just adding one more question to what our baseball team is going to look like when next season starts. What will the roster look like, for one thing, but what will the name be? And the Tribe has not given us any more information about that since the end of the season, but that is a question that is on everyone's minds. And before we let you go here, we want to take a moment to celebrate the life of 3 News photographer Derek LeBeau. The 3 News family did lose a longtime coworker, a longtime, very much beloved member of the family this week. Derek was 58 years old, and nobody captured the beauty of Cleveland quite like Derek LeBeau. He worked tirelessly behind the scenes to tell your stories, and he had a big heart with a soft spot for this city, for the work that he did, and for all of the people on the 3 News team. He was a long-standing member, a major contributor to the 3 News morning show Go, and he will be incredibly missed. He had a strong faith in God and is resting now. So we pay our respects to Derek LeBeau. You can see a beautiful testimony piece that was put together. That's on WKYC, and you can also find that in our WKYC app. That's it for our 3 News Now update for Thursday, November 5th. I will see you next up on What's New with the trending stories in Clicking in Cleveland, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney.